So still, you need to, even if it's occupied, you need to take care of all the violations, possible violations, like the liens and whatnot connected with the municipality. You need to check all the status of the property, all the leases, and take care of it. Because it will backfire on the later down the road, on the title search and the closing. Say we successfully took possession in terms of occupants left. Now you need to assess the property. Are there hazardous conditions, mold, whatnot? That's need to be mitigated, the primary hazard. And what to do? Now you need to maintain the property. Do the initial occupants, initial yard care, all the initial services to make property into some kind of decent order. Are there any leaks or pipes frozen? And there's a whole bunch of stuff that I can talk forever about this and waste time. But the asset management part of it, for the anti-NPL investors, since they're not very familiar with that process, they need to understand that there is a tedious process flow which needs to be followed. And the importance of the RO broker in this case, again, highlighted. You need contractors, you need attorneys, you need municipal people, you need connections in all these areas, you need the proper assessment on the marketing side, how to value this property, because especially in densely populated cities, you just do one block and the price changes, but 40% less, or the other way around. So there's multiple nuances in having boots on the ground. And, this is very important to have a proper partner in this area. Besides, there's definitely this partner with boots on the ground can help in multiple cases. There are investors who are interested in this particular area. With some connections we can connect your asset manager with the NPL holder within this investors network. There could be also the outcome, we could choose strategy to not to dispose an area or fix it and rent it. There's another opportunity to utilize the boots on the ground. And so forth. So that's basically what I wanted to say, the importance of this partnership, that this is imperative.
Can I mention something that I think everybody that might be interested in? This kind of fits in a way with what we're talking about. I've learned about a tax code section called 453. If you have an investor who needs to get out of the property, there's a problem. The example that I had was a $10 million valuation with a cost basis of, he originally bought it for $1.2 million. His depreciated value was about $500,000. He needed to sell, but he had a $3.5 million taxable event. So under 453, I bought the property as an accommodator for a note, $10 million. I then sold it to a cash buyer for $10 million, well, it was $9,700,000, because you have to make a profit in the middle. The buyer paid cash. So I had to have the note release, the deed of trust released. So the collateral for the note is a standby letter of credit with a backing of CDs. No tax, he's in cash. Now I can take that cash and I can buy other properties, other deals, and flow that cash payment to his note, because he's got a $10 million 6% note. and sell this, buy that, sell this, buy that, do this and that, and this guy never has a tax liability until the note is paid. And of course, we don't ever want that note paid. This has been a really good method that most people don't understand how you can do an installment sale, because what happens is people want to sell, but they don't want to pay the tax. And with inflation going here, there's opportunities. Sell the property, let's get down, like these guys are doing, let's buy down here and bring it up here, but I don't want to pay the tax. Use this technique. Use the 453, I think the subsection X, you take that standby letter of credit, and then you can start to use that letter of credit to cut it piece by piece and buy other type of assets that are the collateral for this note. And now you have money that would normally try through a 1031, but you don't have the 405-day restriction. You have it open-ended. It's a great way to raise capital for your deals. And, what else was I going to say? I think I forgot now. But anyways, consider it.
So Michael, you are a wealth of knowledge. I know the audience has questions probably for someone on the panel, but I would like to know, how did you find out about all of these different tips and tools and tips?
Well, here's the other thing I want to make sure. When you do your deals, do it in your pension plan, your defined benefit, defined contribution plan. So you don't ever pay taxes on this stuff. And you just got to make sure you don't do UBTI, which is taxable income, because the plan can't be in the business of dealing. But there are many ways around it so that you can do it in the passive capacity within the plan. You grow that plan tremendously. And remember, the plan itself is exempt from creditor bankruptcy and litigation claims. So it's the ultimate, absolute best way to engineer your transactions.
Okay, so does anyone here have any additional questions, or we would like to open it up to the audience, because I know someone has questions for someone on the panel. Anyone here first? No?
You talking to me?
I wouldn't dare ask the tax question.
Okay, so does anyone in the audience have a question for any of the panelists? Don't be shy. All right, I guess not. So we'll just keep moving along up here. Does anyone else have anything?
No, I was gonna add, kind of what Barry and Jean were talking about earlier about communication and talking to your partners. I'm gonna plug all the Property Express folks, the evictions. We talk about squatters. It truly is a huge issue right now, the squatter situation. I would highly recommend you guys doing more BPOs, doing more drive-bys, doing more property checks on those, because that's a huge issue. Talking to your attorneys or your vendors and getting a good idea of what the expectations are. I had a conversation with a client the other day. It was about the Alabama sheriff's not being able to do lockouts for 6 months, and they didn't know that until we're about halfway in, and they never asked the question, and maybe we should have shared it with them, but I think their strategies change when they find out that it's going to be 6 months. Maybe that cash for keys can go a little higher if you know you're not going to get a lockout in 6 months. Again, just talking to your vendors, talking to your attorneys, finding out, and talking a little bit too about what Rafi said about due diligence, making sure you talk to your attorneys and understand what your state needs. We have situations where maybe an assignment isn't needed, but if you have a note in your endorsements, you're fine, yet, a loan is held up from foreclosure or, collection because someone's looking for an assignment for 6 months, when in reality, it's not even needed. So just having those conversations.
Absolutely. I would like to share one story. We deal typically with the REO brokers, and one of our brokers told us that one of his preservation vendors got shot. They were trying to go ahead of the sheriffs. So, the REO brokers, I just wanna make sure that we're following protocol when we go to these houses to make sure that we're just not going ahead of the sheriffs. The sheriffs are there for a reason and to protect us. This person is in critical condition till this day of getting title on here. But just making sure that we follow protocol, do not go ahead of that sheriff. Yes.
And don't think it's just low-income housing areas. We have, I have squatters in multi-million-dollar homes. We had a squatter in Atlanta, I think it was probably valued at a $4 million home, and she was there for almost a year before we could get her out. She actually, the police removed her once, and she went right back in, and moved back in, and talk about protection. That squatter ended up stabbing someone, and she's now in jail. So yeah, someone, a property price person, who went out on the same. So it's not a joke. I mean, it's scary. You know, it's scary stuff out there.
I can give you one other story of funding a construction of units. We had a guy that was building. He would then get his drawing. He'd then go to the next one. He'd get his drawing, go to the next one. He stiffed one of the subcontractors. Subcontractor came to me and said, "Do you know what this guy is doing? He's taking the cabinets and the hot water heaters from this, putting it here, then he's putting it here, and these are all empty, and you don't know what's going on, and he's stealing from you on each of these things." So all of the movable cabinets, hot water heater, air conditioning units, we're moving from unit to unit to unit. And so that was an interesting thing. So be aware of something like that.
We have a squatter situation too, where the people are coming in and taking the appliances.
Right.
I mean, so we appliances won't even put in the appliances until the day of
That's what we do now.
So we have a squatter situation in actually Southampton, a $15 million home, and they're in there, and we realized that if we're gonna go the eviction route, it's gonna take a while, so we actually looked at the loan documents, which allows for a rent receiver. We've got a very aggressive judge who appointed one of his friends to be the rent receiver. So the rent receiver puts in a motion to the judge saying, rent for this house is $60,000 a month, which we know they're not gonna pay. Payment is due April 1, they're not gonna pay it. Receiver already has his papers to hold them in contempt. So even though it won't be an eviction, there will be a warrant out for their arrest. Hopefully that they get stopped for busted taillight or something, and they're out of your house. So there are ways to kind of get around this regardless of what area you're in. So whether it's a $50,000 property somewhere in the middle of nowhere, or a $15 million property, and we just keep telling our client that part of our legal fee is going to be a weekend in that house. These days,
I got a better solution. I sit on the Navy SEAL board, and all I have to do is say, "Hey Joe, I need you to kind of visit this house over here and kind of move this guy arm. No problem." They know how to take care of business without.
that advice was not provided by the attorney.
I can support that. On the record.
Well, you all have been a wealth of information. How does one find out more, especially the guy who did Mr. Michael? How did you learn all of this stuff? How can we take
I had many bullet wounds. When I started out, I apprenticed under a lawyer who did it, and I have to do everything so that everything I got hit with, I got the bankruptcy I had to deal with, I got the tenant that would move out, I gave keys, and then found out that the check bounced. Every single thing that happened to me is direct evidence of being in it. It's not a theory, it's, okay, I've been in that battlefield, I've been in that battlefield, and boy, when you're in the battlefield, you never forget it. You will never forget it. You know what it feels like, and you'll never let it happen again. Lawyers, my lawyers are dealers. They buy and sell properties, they do things, they partner with me, they know what has to be done. Other lawyers are book lawyers, and they just read the law, and they have no clue what you go through. You gotta have the guy that's got the experience. I want the guy that's been bankrupt and had to start over. I want the contractor that's been ripped off. I want the lawyer that's been beat up. I want people that are SEALs. They've been in the battlefield. They know what to expect, and they then can advise me, or I can advise them, or we're on equal standing. But when I have to tell my lawyer, and I was a judge for 25 years, doing stuff. So when I have to tell my guys how to do their job, it's time to change, move on. That's not your right guy. So that's my answer.
Thank you so much, and with that wrap up, there's nothing else needed. Thank you so much, Valerie. This is great.